screen is going into the recording.
Yes, we are live, I guess, right?
I think so. Yeah, here we are. It's a local support mob programming.
First, I must say I tried to merge, and it's not that bad. It's kind of almost okay.
Okay. Yeah. You want to share your screen, and we'll
I expected much more merge conflicts, but
right.
It's kind of okay. I'll show you what I have. Oh yeah, I should fix on myself first. So yeah, here's the screen, and here's my.
Yes, for all the complexity of this Billy thing, actually, once it's all kind of, there's not so many changes in so many files. You know, once it's all working, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's all good. Actually, only four tests fail. Two predictably is this from volunteer opportunities do it, and I already fixed them, so they are fine. But these two, they're failing. I don't know why. They're kind of random for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no. Well, they're both ones that I've been looking at in the last couple of days. So that they're ones that I'm not surprised to see failing. But so when you did the merge,
yes,
did you have some conflicts that you had to resolve in some files?
You know, I had only one conflict in gemlog file, surprisingly.
Oh, okay, right. So you were able to maybe just delete the gemlog file and then redo bundle, and then it was.
Yeah, well, basically, I resolved the conflict. It was something like obvious, and then I just bundled again just in case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it seems that it's all good.
Yeah. Although I would say, in general, when you have a conflict in the gemlock file, it's probably better practice to delete the lock file and rebundle. I think. Well. No, maybe I'm wrong there. Yeah. Anyway. But what am I saying? It's actually that's often what I'm tempted to do. I guess it's not necessarily the best thing to do. So yeah, I guess if it was trivially obvious, it's just that the gem file, you know, it's supposed to be auto-generated. So anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure, but yeah.
And I guess now that I'm talking it out, I'm kind of like I'm actually not. You know, I guess if you delete the gemlock file completely, you could be that's the equivalent of doing like a bundle update where you know if some of the gems have moved on to other stable versions, they will have changed. So actually, yeah, it's probably what you did is probably for the best actually if you were just doing a little tweak. But yes, let's have a look at. But so you're saying the do it volunteer opportunities. I guess I'm particularly interested. You had in the web mock, you know, that big stubbing of the VCR request. Presumably that's now being handled by a VCR instead?
I think so. What I did is I commented out that webmock I can show you. So
yeah,
in features here in webmock,
right.
For now I commented it out just for test purposes. I will delete it now.
Yeah, well, I would delete that file in the I've completely deleted the webmock.rb file.
Okay, I wasn't sure about fake Google, but it was left because of my version, so you don't have it.
And it's possible that is what's affecting those other tests. So I would delete the webmock.rb file.
Well, I can delete it right now, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and in do it volunteers in this test, I just had to add these flags to VCR and Billy.
Yep, wonderful.
And they're passing now. I also changed number of markers because during this time one more volunteer opportunity appeared.
Okay.
So now it's one more marker appears on map. So that's it. I deleted webmock now, so I'm just wondering whether this test.
Yeah. So you could just rerun. You could rerun the. Well, you could.
I'll run this one because otherwise it's.
I would be tempted rather than running the individual one, if I may. I would run everything, but I would do it with the minus. So I would do cucumber, and then minus format, and then space progress, and that.
Then sorry.
Progress. The word PROG. Progress. Yeah, there you go. And just leave that running in the background. and we can carry on talking. And so rather than sort of waiting for just one to fail, I'll just mention to you those two failures that you were seeing there.
Yeah.
They were in features. The one, the map feature, that was related to a problem that was a sort of a real sticking point for getting the Billy whole setup working. And actually, it was related to VCR, and it was because I think the behavior of the Google geocoding service had changed since we had manually stubbed it with WebMock.
Okay.
And so in the previous thing before using Billy, it was working, but it was because our manual stubbing was now describing a behavior that wasn't actually the case, or maybe the manual stubbing was never set up correctly, which is another possibility. But so in order to fix that, I had to make changes to the nature of the test, so that what the test is doing there is basically checking that when you change the postcode of an organization, that it updates the latitude and longitude. And so I actually changed the test and got that sorted out and got that passing. And then the other one there, which is the sign-in, sign-up, that relates to JavaScript, and it relates to Capybara waiting or not waiting long enough for, it does a JavaScript action, and then it sort of checks something immediately afterwards, but the actual headless browser hasn't actually had time to run the JavaScript, and so it's sort of a threading issue. And that's something we have got some outstanding places where it's not set up in the best way with Capybara for JavaScript, but I managed to fix one or two of those, and there may just be there's some other intermittent failures, but I've got some like outstanding, I've added this is particularly relevant to Raj, because you're looking for maybe other bits and pieces to work on, but I've kind of generated several additional chores related to this big picture thing. I mean, what I could have done with the Billy pull request is there was like two or three other things, like there's a refactoring, there's like a little, and I could have just like burnt extra time doing that, but I thought actually probably better, to get it merged early, because to see what pain there is, and throw these other things out as additional chores that then the small chores that are relatively, simple that other people can pick up. So that was my kind of plan there in the background. Does that make sense about those two failing tests at all?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Yeah, I think I would never be able to kind of do it by myself.
Well, it's I mean, I think you would, but it would require a long time to get to the bottom of those things, and that's entirely what the whole team thing is about. Is that you've spent focusing on the do it feature. I spent yesterday getting to the bottom of that map one, and then we were able to. But now, interesting there, it's coming up and it's just saying only one failed thing, and it's doing it in a do it thing now.
Yes, I think it's this third one. Interestingly, it wasn't failing. I actually was surprised that it wasn't failing. But let's see if this will, if adding the flags will now make it pass.
Yeah.
So I'll just run it individually now.
Yeah. Excellent idea.
Yeah, and I think
you're becoming strong in the ways of the Force, Diana.
Thank you. So let's see what happens. So it's the only one. So and it passed. So I think it's all good with merge.
Excellent. Yeah. So what I would definitely do here is I would do another quick run of the full Cucumber suite, and particularly, I mean, I mentioned that because sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced this before, but sometimes, and it's true with both RSpec and Cucumber, other testing tools, sometimes things can pass individually, but then not pass in a group. And it's relatively rare. It does sometimes happen. So the thing, even just now, I would just hit the arrow key up twice and just hit return, so that even while we're talking, we can get that right. But the other minor thing is that it's generally good practice to put bundle exec at the beginning of the line there, and that just ensures that when Cucumber is running there, it's running specifically with the things in the gem file and the gem file lock, and not possibly other gems that might be installed in the system. And Yeah, and when you're at the start and you don't have too many things installed on your system, it's not a big deal. But just it's a good habit to get into. So
Okay,
yeah.
so I'll start it, but we can switch to, I don't know, either further steps or what Raj's doing. Just
Yeah. Well, and actually, I think that they're related because so yeah, to click return, kick off
Yeah.
that test run, and
I'll switch screens now to yours. Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, the interesting thing that in there that I'm reminded as I saw that go back up and down is that you've got a feature flag in there, and one of the things that Raj has been working on is feature flags, and what we were talking about actually was feature flag documentation, weren't we, Raj?
Yes, yes.
And so, were you going to do? You were going to do a little pull request, like specifying that, and maybe you can. I don't know. Raj has these ideas of kind of like the standard things that you do, and so maybe the two of you might be able to coordinate on what possible additional documentation you need to add about your feature flag. Is that right, Raj?
Yeah, that's right. Well, what my thing was, how do we put that documentation? Where do we put that documentation? Like, is it in the main README? We have a link saying that instructions for people who want to set up initial setup or something. Like there's a link where it says installation instruction for OS X, for example. Now, part of it you install, add these gems and run these bundle exec and all that. So do we put this part as a part of that, or this is just for application, meaning when you add a feature? So I'm not entirely sure where do we.
Yeah, well, I think it doesn't make too much difference, and that's probably something we can work out separately. I think the main thing is just, and well, I guess Yana should just go ahead with her pull request, and we can maybe follow up in comments on the pull request to say the things like, Yana, you need to add this to the seed file. I think she's probably got the migration in there or what have you. And then the question of where we put that other documentation, maybe we can come on to that. But yes, so Raj, now I guess I guess if Yana has to go through it, I guess in terms of what Yana does next, you've got a sort of a series of little things, haven't you, Yana, of just like other stuff that we would like to work. I haven't had a response, by the way, from Do It about either cores or what's it called, whether we could get the data back in a different structure. So I mean, I would probably, my temptation would be to be. I think you're almost there. Is that there was that one thing about in the listing, the link to the organization associated with the volunteer thing. We kind of worked out, didn't we, how to extract the URL that would link directly to that?
Yes.
And that seems like sort of a low-hanging fruit that we can just sort of simply fix. Then there's the more complex issues that we've got that you've mentioned before about, multiple organizations being in the same location, organizations having multiple volunteer opportunities, and they're not showing up. So I think that where I'd be tempted to go there was immediately is sort of deal with any low-hanging fruit, and then write up those things as separate bugs / features, and we'll kind of get into those each individually and try and start working them out. If that makes does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. I mean, the only thing that really bothers me is that we don't have a lot of opportunities for each organization.
Yeah.
Without it, it seems unfinished.
Yes.
So, but if you say that, well, we leave this data and we just move on, well, I can do that, but
yes,
feels wrong for myself, but yeah, I can live with it.
I understand. I totally understand the feeling. I'm just posting a link there actually into. I think we've got. There was sort of a in the pivotal tracker feature. We've got a list numbered of all these different things. I mean, I think we absolutely want to fix that thing that you're describing, but I think that shouldn't stop us, particularly because we've got the feature flag.
Yeah.
What we can do now is we can release that code and we can check the whole process to the production and that's all good and there aren't any other unexpected surprises.
Okay.
And then we can sort of work on that separate problem, in parallel, of which we know that there's a solution, which is that we could spend time reconstructing the data, or maybe Do It will show us some other way to do it, or what have you. I think we know we can fix that, but we don't want that to stand in the way of us ruling out that there aren't any other blockers to this system getting into production, if you know what I mean.
Okay, another question is, because of this thing, our pop-up window is now not tested, because as we discussed once, I don't want to test it kind of the wrong way, because if I write the right test, it will always fail because there is no list of opportunities there now.
Well, I think it's reasonable in the first instance to have a test that checks that there is a single opportunity.
Okay.
And then, because, you know, that's what we've done is we've made the bigger problem simpler. We've said, okay, the first thing we're going to do is grab this stuff from Do It. We're going to pull it in, and we're going to display at least one opportunity. And then that getting that all done and all sorted is a stepping stone to completing the more complicated problem.
Okay. Okay, so, but by the way, all tests are fine now.
Fantastic.
So it's all passed. So from my side, that's it. I will commit it, and you will see it in the pull request.
Wonderful. Yes, and we can get that, and get that merged in, and particularly with the feature flag in place, we get our integration testing. Excellent.
Yeah. So basically, then I can write a test for pop-up window the way it is now. And then, I don't know, you can merge it, or should I refactor it, like collecting items to a separate service, or is it a separate thing?
Well, I guess let's get the pull request in, and we'll have some discussion there on what are appropriate refactorings, and see if we can get other people involved in that discussion as well. I mean, that's I think I won't be in a rush to merge it in. I think let's get that up there, and then we can have a bit of a chat about what are appropriate refactorings, and which, as like I did with the Billy thing, what are refactorings that we can leave as chores for other people to pick up, and of course maybe they're ones that you want to pick up yourself.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
On another matter, we just discussed the feature flags. It's just a question. I had to reinstall, reclone, whatever, LocalSupport on my machine recently. And the feature flags, they were not activated automatically. Maybe it's my machine, maybe it's my fault. They were throwing an error like feature is not found, but it was in my database. So I had to comment out this part from seeds, and then activate it manually. But maybe it was my machine. My question was, has someone tried to do it from the beginning and to see how the new users see it?
Yeah, and I think the answer to that is yes, and I think that's what Raj has been working on. The problem that you may have encountered might be related to the fact that although you probably reinstalled, you probably didn't reinstall the database from scratch, or did you?
I think I did. I dropped all tables on that base, but it might be my machine because it has some weird things.
But yeah, this is absolutely what Raj is looking at and what Raj is working on now. So maybe we'll move over to Raj now and go through all of the things that Raj has got.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Okay, that you know what you were talking about. I think when somebody runs a seed,
from scratch,
as a part of Scratch, they will have these features get activated. Do you think you have this in your? Because this is changed. This is not yet going to develop yet, so that could cause a problem.
That's exactly where I had the problem. So
yeah, that's right. So this is what we are fixing. So I think next time this will not happen, probably.
Okay. Sorry then. Sorry, I just wanted to mention it.
No. It's very good to mention it. That's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a part of the same thing, like what Sam was mentioning earlier, like your new feature, Do It feature has come in. We want that to be mentioned here also, and that's what a documentation, some sort of documentation to go on the LocalSupport website, where we say that if anybody working on a new feature, adding a new feature, then they should also make sure amend the seeds file where they append that feature here. That's what
Mm-hmm.
would like to do.
Yeah, I see you've created a doc folder.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that should probably be named docs, as in docs plural. But
yeah.
Have you put a file inside the docs folder?
No, not yet. I'm going to. Well,
Yeah.
That's what my thing was. Do I do this as a part of the pull request for the seed changes to seeds?
I would say do it as part of the pull request.
Yeah, well, I'll put that another change into it and make another pull request. So
great.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
Excellent.
And put one. Create a new folder, docs, and create one file in that.
Just create a README file in there, and just and again, the thing is, I would say, don't worry too much about getting it perfect or exactly or where it's linked.
I'll get started, and then we can
keep something in, and then we can iterate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the second thing, and the third thing was I'll share my screen. I've done.
You were also doing a merge.
Yeah, I'm not completely confident what I've done is correct. Before I go any further, I just mentioned you can see this is the history of Git commands I've done. What I've done is I have here pull the develop branch, and then I'll try to check out, but then check out develop here, which is my local, and then push the develop, which is merged from the upstream develop to my develop, and then check out the branch for the seeds and then merged my develop into that. Now, so far I think I'm happy with what I've done. I don't think anything wrong. Now, do I need to push this branch?
Yes.
And then do a pull request. Oh well, the pull request is already there.
You already have the pull request. Yeah, you just do push to it, and it will automatically.
Okay, So before I do that, I'll make my change about docs, and then push it all to my origin, and then the pull request will be there.
Yes, and so when you did the merge, you didn't get any conflicts.
No, I didn't. I got a whole lot of changes. There were no conflict there at all.
Great. And also, were you able to run all the tests screen? That's the other thing to check is after you've done. I mean,
I'll run those.
It's probably fine.
I'll run those two tests. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can leave it to the CI to do it for you, but it's like I'll
run the test.
If you run with the -fp and the minus format progress, then and hopefully actually now the whole thing should run a bit faster. I don't know, Jana, had you noticed now that you've merged in the Billy stuff, are things running a little bit faster?
Yes, I think so, yes, and it's definitely much cleaner.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Yes, I think that's because in the past we were going out to all these network connections and that was just slowing everything down. So I think this is a huge improvement for the project, so I'm really pleased.
Okay, and I got two pull requests. Another was about deprecated warning. Deprecation warning. So I'll merge both separately, and then another pull request will be there for
that sounds
okay. I'll do this in next half an hour, 1 hour, and then it will be there.
Great, fantastic. Yes, and thanks so much for responding to. I'm just sharing my screen here. Thanks so much to responding to my comments in there. You were adding in the descriptions, which is great. That's a great habit to get into. It's easy, when you're in a rush, just to do the title. I think the descriptions, links to the tracker story, fantastic. I guess one thing, and you're probably familiar with it, like you can use this markdown formatting.
Yeah, I've used it now for another one. I made the changes. So I've used that for deprecated warning thing. So you can see that.
Oh, fantastic! Beautiful. The force is becoming very strong.
That's quite interesting.
The force is becoming strong in you, Raj. Yes. You see, this is
quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks far better. Looks really good. I'm quite impressed. Yeah.
It's nice. I mean, and interestingly, it's sort of important here in as much as this is something that I think a lot of people, when they're first coming to computers and whatever, they operate, like as if in the human world. Like if somebody says something to somebody, like so you're working in an office and someone says something to you, and you say, all right, I've got to tell John. So you go to John and you say, oh, so and so said so-and-so, and you just use this sort of natural language description of that thing. You're not, usually in the office, you don't take a recording of exactly what the first person said and play it back to the other person, right? That's like, it would be insane. They'd think you were crazy. But with the computer world, this kind of like really precise, you know, copying of the message and then sort of displaying it actually becomes really important and valuable. It's not always necessary, but it's a great habit to get into. Same thing there with Jana in terms of her workflow. She was like, rather than rerunning all of the tests, she ran the single test that was important. It's those little things that will just make your lives as developers so much more easy. So great stuff. Okay, cool. Okay. You're all set then, Raj? Are you about?
Yeah, just one more thing about the fixes thing, where you know we put.
Oh yeah, this.
So do F capital. Do I amend the commit and try putting it there, or we want to try with a lowercase fixes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know actually if the case is going to make a difference. So I think, you know, it's probably not worth worrying about. I'll merge one and see if it happens. And if it works, that's fine. If it doesn't, then there's an interesting. You may not be familiar with git commit amend, and there's a way.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So obviously it can be done, but yeah, let's at least. This is the other thing with computers is, of course, you know, you always want to avoid doing work unless you have to. So this is actually an interesting situation where we can do an experiment, we can learn more about the system, and then we can push off the work of doing the until later. Yeah. So. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
for
great.
me.
Okay. Good stuff. And then, did you? So I think both of you covered. Did you know? I would maybe this is a different time, but Raj, yeah. So there are a few. Basically, there's a few new things that have come through. We've got, you know, the up for grabs. I've been sort of trying to be consistently put the up for grab labels on things where I think, oh yeah, this is like a relatively small thing that you know, what you guys can kind of take on if you're interested. So I guess we don't need to have that conversation now. We can push that off. I guess the only other thing we might do just quickly now is we might have a. I mean, Jana, maybe do you have to go right now?
I have like 5 minutes maximum.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got 5 minutes because we didn't manage to do it in the kickoff on Monday. We could just quickly vote on one of these stories. Would that be of interest to you guys?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, if you've got the video screen on me, Jana. So this is the one. I'm just thinking here. It's just because, you know, let's gradually get them done. So if we were voting on this one here, so this one is like switching the landing page from organizations to volunteers. So this is something, we're not necessarily saying we're going to do this, but it's something that's been discussed. And so in the main site, I mean, particularly once we've got the feature, you know, Jana's been working on with the volunteers, working to our satisfaction. You know, at the moment, the organizations is the kind of default page that you land on, but it could be that we adjusted it so that when you went to the site, that we would land on the volunteer page by default, and you could go and see the organizations if you wanted to, and that would sort of switch the focus of the site from being all about just a directory of organizations and be more about the volunteer opportunities. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now, you guys obviously not so familiar with the system. Can you imagine the complexity that might be involved in that kind of change?
I have a feeling it shouldn't be crazy difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't. It should. Well, first feeling is it's like one. I don't know.
Yeah. I think also it shouldn't be crazy difficult. I mean, it's interesting to look at the different pieces. Of course, you're kind of breaking protocol there, Jana, by mentioning the word one, because now you've by saying that you've set up a bias in our minds, and Raj and I said, oh, if we just vote one, we can get the story out of the way. But it's not a problem. I'm just jibing, but maybe good practice not to say the numbers until after the actual voting. Yeah, I'm tempted to. I think it should be just a question of adjusting the routes and a few bits and pieces. I'm not. I don't think it should be too hard. Are we ready to go to a vote on it? Does anybody want to have more discussion about this feature?
Yeah. What was the original? What was like organization was the landing page originally? And
originally because we didn't have the volunteer. thing.
Okay.
Originally, it was just organizations, and then we actually received a grant from another local group who paid for, at least some of the work on the volunteers thing. And so originally there was no, what's the word? There was like this, the only thing that we had in this area here was login. We only had the login.
Okay.
There wasn't any other navigation. And then the navigation was introduced when, as after we'd added the volunteers thing.
And I'm not sure about the, the convention about the tab which is being a landing page to be the order of the tab needs to be organized also.
I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think we could be moving the volunteers over, and the thing would be, the interesting thing is, I guess, if we go to here, does it automatically redirect? It's it's kind of the home. There's a few little bits and pieces there, but I think that they're all to do with the view and the roots, and not to do with the database
logic. Yeah.
Well, some tests might fail, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it could well be the case that there are various tests that are relying upon the organizations being the homepage, or not. I'm not sure. I mean, I think you could get quite a lot of failing tests, but then it would just be a sort of a chore to go through and like direct it to go specifically to one page rather than the other. So you're absolutely right, Jana. But yeah. Anything else we need to say about this before we go to a vote?
Yeah, that's it. Just before, please remind me, how do we?
Yeah, so if you go into Slack here, if you go into Slack, I in the local support chat.
Local support chat, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so if you just type the number, but don't press return, and then if we're ready, 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, and so Rad has gone for a 2. So Rad, why were you thinking a 2 rather than a 1?
Yeah, 2 is what I understand is it's not as important for us to do it straight away, so can go on a.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah,
you were interested.
Is that right, or 1 means you get it done and get it sorted, but it's not major and easy.
It's an interesting way of thinking about it, actually. Yes, it's interesting. Yes, it's certainly, if people are thinking that 1s, then they'll be what grabbed first. Then you're thinking of assigning it to so that people are less likely to take it, which is an interesting strategy. I mean, it makes me think of points story estimation. There was a blog that I came across. There we go. I think there's this one here where someone was arguing. I think this would be a very interesting blog for us to read for another opinion on how we should be doing these things. Interesting. Anyway, I think we probably don't have time for a longer debate here. I guess, what do you think, Jana, to Raj's suggestion that we should sort of push it to a 2?
In terms of difficulty, I think it's 1. In terms of timing, it's a good point, because from what I know about volunteers now, if we do it properly, it will be crazy slow. If we do it without Ajax, and it will be loading I don't know, close to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think you've convinced me, Jana. Yeah, I think 2. Yeah, I think let's go for a 2, and I'm going to add notes here, and it's consider that many tests might fail if we switch the landing page. Also, volunteers is possibly a slow loading page, so we may need to fix that before we can make it the landing page. Yeah, great. Okay, fantastic. Got one of those stories. Yeah, so I think you've probably got to go, haven't you, Jana? Thanks so much for sticking around for voting on that. Good stuff, guys. Great progress. Yeah, well, I'll maybe see you at this afternoon stand-up or whenever, later in the week, and certainly I'll probably the interaction we'll have is through the pull requests before then. So have a great day, guys, and I'll speak to you real soon.
Okay.
Okay. See you later.
All right. Bye for now. Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, dude.